Hey folks, Adam here, and we are going to give you 10 reasons you may not want to move to Tampa Bay. Now, as a resident of Tampa Bay for about the last 15 years, I've got a lot of great things to say about the city. In fact, behind me, you'll see some clips from my river walk tour with Amy from World's Greatest Adventures, and also check out that video, World's Greatest Adventures River Walk. So, why don't you want to move to Tampa Bay? We're going to give you 10 great reasons. Before that, we're going to give you the history of Tampa Bay, and we're also going to talk about some of the stats and figures. Before we get started though, make sure to click that like button, click the subscribe button as well. This is a new channel where we're going to give you all sorts of very fun travel information that's just for you. Let's go ahead and kick it off right about now. So the population of Tampa Bay is about 3.3 million people when you consider the entire metropolitan area. That's Tampa Bay, St. Petersburg, and Clearwater. It's the 18th largest metro area in the United States of America. In fact, it's absolutely enormous. And once you add in Sarasota, just south by about 30 minutes, 45 minutes, and Orlando, and both areas are kind of getting closer and closer, it's one of the largest metropolitan areas in the United States. It's in the top 5. It's up there with like New York and Los Angeles because it has this huge population density in Central Florida. Now, the actual city of Tampa isn't that large. It's only about 400,000 people, and it's actually the 3rd largest city in Florida behind Jacksonville and Miami. The land area is 1,000 square miles for the metro area, and the Tampa city itself is only 175 square miles. So it's actually a kind of a smaller area, and it's locked in for a lot of it as a peninsula with Tampa Bay. Now, Tampa's median age is about 42 years old, which is slightly older than the national average because there's actually a lot of retirees in the Tampa Bay area. And when it comes to ethnicity and diversity, it's a very, very diverse area. About 50% white, 23% Hispanic, and 15% black, with only 4% Asian and then 6% other. So it's a very diverse area, but it doesn't have a bad history when it comes to diversity and issues associated. There's just not a lot of problems. People seem to get along in Tampa Bay. That's one of the reasons we love Tampa Bay, and it is a beautiful city, but don't worry, there's a lot of reasons you're gonna wanna hear that maybe you shouldn't move here. Now, when it comes to violent crime rates, it's fairly low. Property crime, fairly low as well. And overall, it's a fairly safe city, particularly in the metro area. Unlike some metro areas in other cities, it's kind of a safe feel with a lot of built-up buildings, industry, and business. Now, the median household income is about $68,000 a year, which is just slightly below the national average. So that's kind of interesting because Tampa is a fairly expensive city, but the main downtown, people make about the average, just below the United States average. Now, when it comes to home ownership, 62% of families own homes, and there's been a big surge in housing over the last few years with people moving in from California and mostly from the Northeast. We're talking New York, New Jersey. A lot of people come to retire or they sell their expensive house and relocate because there's more and more businesses coming to Tampa Bay, and we'll get into that here in a moment. About 32% of Tampa Bay residents have at least a bachelor's degree. Tampa has several major universities as well, including University of South Florida. The unemployment rate is a fair 3.4%, which is really good for a big city. And the major industries are healthcare, finance, tech, defense, logistics, and of course there's actually a really big insurance influx. USAA, Progressive, all those companies have relocated down here, particularly companies from the Northeast that were on Wall Street, so like finance, have moved from Wall Street because of the cost and found a secondary home in Tampa Bay. So where a big finance company, a big bank may have their headquarters in New York, they've got 40 45% of their employees in Tampa Bay, just because it is a lot cheaper to pay somebody $68,000 a year in Tampa than $300,000 in the city of New York. So what about its history? Dating back from before 1500, it was natives, the Tocobaga people. They lived in coastal villages, they built shell mounds, they were fishers and traders, trappers, fur traders, and things of the sort going through the 1500s. Then in 1528 to the 1540s, there was Hernando de Soto, and he explored the area first with Europeans. They were the first Europeans there, and there was kind of a harsh encounter with the natives that didn't work out well for anyone. And then the Europeans mostly left the area from the 1600s and 1700s, leaving it to the natives because of abandonment or disease. They abandoned it because of disease and conflicts with the locals. The 1800s brought the cigar industry from Key West in Cuba. They brought it up to Tampa Bay. This was partially associated with the railroads. So where there were leaves in Central and South America, they would bring them to Tampa, roll them in Ybor City, and then hit them out on the railroads throughout the world, or throughout the United States. So there's a big cigar history, and that's one of the reasons that the city got founded. And if you're in Tampa Bay, one of the places you should stop is Ybor City, which was kind of the founding location where all the cigars were rolled, where all the tobacco came, and that's a huge part of the history of the city. The city continued to expand in the 1940s with MacDill Air Force Base, which I said there's a peninsula that kind of runs the center of the city. A good portion of that is, and it's beautiful real estate, is MacDill Air Force Base. So the Air Force Base, one of the first locations here, got the prime real estate. Then from there with urbanization, it became kind of a suburb. There was more and more trade coming up in with the trains and everything, and the city started to grow. And one of the big factors that came into making Tampa Bay what it is today is the fact that air conditioning got better and better. And by the 80s and 2000s, we had the Tampa Bay Buccaneers, the Rays, and the Lightning. And then this area, Channelside, developed in the early 2000s, as well as the Riverwalk. And now people really just have a beautiful city that is booming. And with that, kind of a low-cost center compared to other areas of the United States, more and more tech areas came down here. And with the quote-unquote temperate climate, people who wanted to get out of the cold and or retire, this really started to take off. So by the 2010s and 2020s, with tech startups, remote work, healthcare, and finance, more and more young people started to move to Tampa Bay, and it really became a vibrant metro area that's one of the more beautiful areas in the world because it's all around a bay. It's absolutely gorgeous. There's a lot of activities. You're within a stone's throw of Miami, of Disney World, of Busch Gardens, of SeaWorld. There's so much to do, and it's a vacation mecca here in Florida. So let's go ahead and talk about 10 reasons why you won't want to move to Tampa Bay. And number 10 is the traffic. Yeah, it's got major highways and roads. There's I-4 going east and west, I-75 north and south, and then 275 kind of loop in the city. The average commute time in Tampa Bay is about 30 minutes, but if you live in the suburbs, it's 45 minutes to an hour is the average commute time, which is significantly more than the national average. There's also a lot of toll roads, including the Veterans Expressway. So if you've got north, south, east, west, there's a toll road that will cut you around that, but you have to pay a premium to use it. There's a lot of bridges as well, including the Howard Frankland, the Gandy, and the Courtney Campbell Expressway. Times can double during times of congestion. And yeah, overall, this is a very busy area. And with that I-4, which I-4 takes you from Tampa to Orlando, and north-south takes you all the way up from Tallahassee down to Sarasota. I-75 takes you pretty much all the way down to Miami. With only two major roads, two major interstates, when they meet, there's huge congestion in the Tampa Bay area. And if you have to go up, down, or left, right on those two interstates during rush hour, your commute time can be an hour and a half easily. So one of the big downfalls with Tampa Bay as a wonderful city is the traffic. Also, we've had some of the most growth of any city in the United States over the past 10 years. That may be great, but the roads weren't ready for it. So there's a lot of construction, which we'll get to later. But with the construction, a lot of the on and off ramps, and there's just too much congestion that the roads can't handle yet. There's a good budget for improvements, and they are seemingly getting better. But for all intents and purposes, traffic is number 10 on our list, and why you may not want to move to Tampa Bay. Which brings us to number 9, which is the construction. There's so much construction. They just redid the entire downtown area. Pretty much every major interchange has been, they had to expand it because of all of the growth here. So we've got 3 big construction projects that I'll mention. Downtown Tampa interchange, the I-4-275 junction. There's a $223 million construction project to improve, again, that 275 that takes you around I-4 at $223 million, and it's scheduled to end in 2027. I-275, they're recently widening it, again at I-4, and it's scheduled to be finished in 2025, but that is another multi-million dollar project that's slowing things down. And the 275 Pinellas corridor, there's a $340 million construction project that is supposed to be done in 2025, or beginning in 2025, and it's doing different sections of 275 to expand it accordingly. Now, when you think about that, when you take all of the construction just in Hillsborough County for Tampa Bay, there's over $1 billion worth of construction projects going on right now. And that's going to slow down your commute, and that's going to get frustrating with the changes in the area. Now on to number 8, it's about sports. Now Tampa actually has 2 very fun sports teams, maybe 3. When it comes to professional sports, obviously the Tampa Bay Lightning have been highly successful over the years with a lot of NHL championships, Stanley Cups. They've just done amazing, and they're super fun to watch. They're in a great arena, which has changed names a few times. But the Tampa Bay Lightning have been fantastic to watch, and if you're moving to Tampa Bay, you're going to like the overall feel of the Tampa Bay Lightning. The Buccaneers are super fun to watch as well. They had some success recently with Tom Brady, so that's been super fun. The Rays are the question mark, and so is the NBA. So the Tampa Bay Rays, first off, if you live in Hillsborough County, if you live in Tampa, it's far. It's a far commute to watch a game, and that's why attendance is low, because it's hard for Tampa Bay residents to actually see a Rays game. So if you're a baseball fan, you may find yourself a baseball fan, but it's hard to watch. Also, there's no NBA or WNBA team, so there's a lack of basketball. You'd have to go to Orlando to watch a basketball game, which is problematic because you're close enough to where the games are blacked out, but you're far enough where you can't really go see a game because it's probably an hour and a half, 2-hour commute to go to an Orlando Magic game. So really, you're without any NBA teams, and the Major League Baseball is a big question mark, particularly for the fact that they haven't invested in a new stadium since the hurricane. So the Rays have been playing in George Steinbrenner Field, which at least gets them a little closer. But unfortunately, the rumors are is they may be leaving Tampa Bay. They were just bought up by an owner out of Jacksonville. And if I was to put my dollars to donuts, I would say that the Rays may not be here for very long. So if you're moving here and you're a huge baseball or basketball fan, you may want to rethink your commute. All right, folks, on to number 7, our subtropical climate, right? So the climate in Tampa Bay is hot and sweaty, hot and muggy. It's no good, all right? You practically live in a jungle, and you're going to not want to go outside in the summer. Tampa has a humid subtropical climate. It's hot, humid summers, and mild, dry winters are less than favorable for a lot of people. Now, in the summer, June through August, you can expect the average daily high to be about 93 degrees, but those winters are nice with the average daily high of about 74 degrees. That's 23 degrees Celsius. Tampa also rarely freezes, so there is quite a bug problem here in Florida. It also has kind of a monsoon season or rainy months. June to September, you should expect afternoon thunderstorms. August being the wettest month with about 7 to 9 inches of rain. So overall, the climate in Tampa Bay is probably not perfect if you're not used to hot, humid temperatures. And it's only getting hotter, folks. When I first moved down here, the hottest you would get is about 93 degrees. This week, it's 100 degrees. And I feel like Tampa Bay is definitely getting hotter. It feels hotter, and it's just something you have to deal with. It's also known as Lightning Alley, one of the most lightning-prone areas of the United States. So if you're not a fan of lightning, or you're afraid that, oh, I got to get out of outdoors, Tampa Bay may not be best for you. Moving on to number 6, a very similar topic are the hurricanes. We've had quite a few of these last few years. Now, historically, hurricanes hit between June 1st and November 30th. That's the Atlantic hurricane season, with peak activity of mid-August to late September. So we're just getting into hurricane season. That historically hasn't been a huge problem for Tampa Bay. We've avoided a lot of the storms because when those storms come up into the Gulf, they usually shoot off to Texas, Louisiana, Mississippi, or they hit South Florida. But these last couple of years, we've been getting hit by more and more expensive hurricanes. And I think that with the development, a hurricane's hitting harder than it's ever hit before. Before there were trees and all sorts of things to break up those hurricanes, slow down those winds. But now that we've got more and more people and more houses and more flat land, that wind is hitting harder, there's more damage, and it just seems like there's more hurricanes than there ever have been in the past. Now, we had a major direct landfall in 1921 with winds at mile per hour of 115 miles per hour, storm surge of 12 feet, and that would cost billions. Last year we had 2 big hurricanes and a lot of flooding, and frankly we've been having them more and more frequently. It is one of the most hurricane vulnerable cities, and anytime there's a hurricane, they immediately shut off the power to keep collateral damage of power lines going down and doing damage. So even if you don't get hit directly with a hurricane, there's potential for other collateral damage. There's issues with flooding, power outages, and all sorts of things that could be associated to hurricanes. So that's also something, if you've never been through a hurricane, it can be very scary, it can be rough on your animals, and that's just part of Tampa Bay. Now, number 5, something you may not want to move to Tampa Bay, all the houses look alike. Yeah. Because stucco is the preferred exterior, you can't have brick when there's high winds and hurricanes. It'll break the brick up. So you've got a stucco exterior and light colors because of the sun. You're gonna have a lot of light colored stucco houses. Because they're not 2-story, because again of the winds, there are some 2-story houses, but a lot of 1-story houses in Tampa Bay. The low water table right next to the bay, there's no basements. 1-story, stucco house, lightly colored, no brick, no basement. That's likely the house you're going to get. That's fine, Mediterranean feel, but when all houses kind of look the same, you're not going to get much diversity in your house looks. And with developers knowing that's what they need to develop, they will put up thousands of the same style house in a subdivision, and we're just getting thousands and thousands of the same house. They're not always pretty, but they're very effective. They work, they stand up to hurricanes, they're safe, they're reliable, but they're a little boring, right? You're not getting those cool big brick mansions, you're not getting much diversity at all with Tampa Bay. So when you're looking for a house, just expect that you're going to get most likely, all the new builds look kind of alike. And because this is kind of a landlocked area, there's not a lot of land. If you move into a house that's new in the Tampa Bay area, it's gonna be on a postage stamp of a lawn. There's not a lot of big backyards and neighborhoods left for new development in Tampa Bay. It's also noted that if you're building a house in Tampa Bay, Anything 20, 30 years old, the jungle takes it back. So there's constant lawn care and maintenance. That brings me to number 4 on our list. Maintenance and house maintenance. If you're looking to move to Tampa Bay, taking care of a yard in Tampa Bay is a lot more work than in some areas of the country. Your lawn is going to grow 12 months a year. You're always going to be cutting the grass. There's more to it than just the grass. The jungle is trying to take back your house. This is a subtropical climate, and vines and thorns and bugs and animals are very common here. So you're going to be out there, whether you hire a lawn care company or do it yourself. Lawn maintenance and house maintenance is a lot more than you're used to. I've got a deck that I had built. Within 5 years, I had to replace all the boards because of the humidity, because of the water, because of the rain. A deck might only last 5 years in Tampa Bay. Somewhere in the north, it might last 15, 20 years. We just have a lot of maintenance because we live in a tropical environment. You have to pressure wash your driveway twice a year. Maybe my pressure washer guy comes every quarter, and just to maintain the house. You have to have somebody come and take care of the garden, things like that. There's just more to take care of in Tampa Bay. Number 3, let me take you through some of the worst bugs in the world. Tampa Bay has a lot of mosquitoes. We're all on the water. Every community has a retention pond for water runoff. There's lakes, rivers, and there's constantly standing water. So we have a lot of mosquitoes. They can carry West Nile virus, equine encephalitis, and they're out particularly at dusk till dawn. So in those areas and those times of the year, those times of the day, you're not going to want to be outside. We also have aggressive fire ants and carpenter ants and all of the ants that are very aggressive. They can cause allergies and welts, and you're going to have to hire somebody or maintain the bugs in your lawn yourself. There's palmetto bugs. I'm talking cockroaches this big to cockroaches this big, and every house in Tampa Bay will get cockroaches, just period. You're going to get some. Every yard, every flip over a log, there's going to be some palmetto bugs under there. They can get to be 2 inches long. They come into homes. Anytime it rains, they're going to try to come into your house. They're not dangerous, but they're startling, and you do need to keep up with them. There's wasps, easy for me to say, yellow jackets that you're constantly having to deal with. There's spiders, including black widows and brown recluses. There's biting mites. There are love bugs all over the place. During love bug mating season, your car is going to be covered with love bugs. Africanized bees occasionally make it up here. I've never seen them. And there are some enormous grasshoppers that are invasive. So there's just a lot of animals and bugs and things you have to deal with. And that's why you may want to rethink moving to Tampa Bay. All right, before we move on to number 2, again, I'm going to ask you to click that subscribe button. I do appreciate it. We have a lot of fun videos, a lot of educational videos, a lot of travel videos, and leave us a comment if there's any other Tampa Bay or Tampa Bay related issues you would like us to cover. All right, with that being said, let's move on to number 2, and that's the median sales price of houses. It's been skyrocketing, and if you're moving in now, this might not be the best time. In 2013, the average house in Tampa Bay was $127,000. Currently, that is $450,000, marking over $300,000 increase. Yeah, that's it, representing over 200% increase in pricing. That's insane, okay? So although it's kind of leveled off the last year or so, 2020, the average price, $289. 2021, $329, $398, $423, $448. So if you're looking at a $450,000 house for your average 3-bedroom home, Tampa's just getting more and more expensive. Yeah, everything's getting more expensive in the United States. Cost of groceries, everything from top to bottom and stem to stern is getting more pricey, but rental costs are also going up. In 2021, the average price went up 25%. 2022, it was 38% up. So yeah, it's been steadily growing, where the average rental price in 2015 through 19 was about $1,000 a month for a rental. Now it's over $2,200 a month. Let me say that again. The average rental cost is over $2,200 a month in Tampa Bay. Sure, there's some gorgeous places, but these ones on the water are gonna be much, much more than that. So just keep that in mind before you move to Tampa Bay. Again, folks, I wanna thank you for joining us. As somebody who's lived in Tampa Bay for a long time, this is a fun video for me to talk about. I welcome you to Tampa Bay, but there may be some reasons why you don't want to move here. Go ahead and click that like button if you're enjoying the video thus far. So what's the number one reason you may not want to move to Tampa Bay? Because we are a lawless swamp. We're practically Grand Theft Auto 6 over here. In fact, Grand Theft Auto 6 is modeled a lot after Tampa Bay. It's going to be a culture shock for a lot of people here. Coming in from Michigan, the girls were scantily clad, there were rednecks waving flags, there were Puerto Ricans shooting off fireworks, and it's some of the reasons that I love Tampa Bay in the most stereotypical way. We're all behaving, all of us. And that may be a culture shock to some of you. It may not be a culture shock to others, but it is a lot going on, and that's why we do love Tampa Bay. So folks, there are plenty of fun things to do in Tampa Bay. It's a gorgeous city. It's my home for over 15 years. I love it, and I think you're gonna love it too. But again, there are many reasons why you may not want to come live here in Tampa Bay. With that being said, I want to thank you for joining us. Tampa is a wonderful city. Make sure to click like and subscribe. We do appreciate you being part of our community. We're going to do maybe 10 reasons why you should move to Tampa Bay next. That's Ybor City behind us, a very important cultural part of our downtown and a fun place to go on a Saturday night. We also have a pirate festival that is super cool, based on a fictitious pirate that took over the city, and we reenact it every year like its own little Mardi Gras festival. We've had plenty of Super Bowls and WrestleManias and all sorts of fun activities. Centro Ybor is a great place to grab a drink. There's the brand new Sparksman Wharf, formerly Channelside, that is a great place to go and enjoy the bay and the scenery. We have these cars that run up and down the city that you can jump on for a couple bucks and see the city. We have water taxis. We have fun people. We have just great entertainment. We've got comedy clubs. So if you're looking to move to Tampa Bay, it's probably not a bad idea. It's a super fun place. But again, there's some areas that may not be perfect for you. Also check out again our previous river walk video on World's Greatest Adventures. That is a super fun part of Tampa Bay. There's some great hotels. There are steakhouses like Burns Steakhouse that are regionally, worldwide known. There's famous Cuban restaurants and Colombian restaurants that are very well known. In fact, the Cuban sandwich was invented here. There's great museums, architecture, and things to see. Folks, thanks again for joining us. You know, I love and appreciate you, but what are you waiting for? Move to Tampa, or don't. Goodbye, my friends.